Of all languages to learn, Korean? Oh my god. You didn't see French, you didn't see Spanish. 여러분, 안녕하세요. 저는 나이지리아 태어난 예미입니다. Welcome back to my channel, Yemi Express. Alright, in today's video, I want to talk about the struggles, the challenges that Korean learners face because they are Korean learners. For us Korean language learners, I feel like we haven't really spoken about this aspect of our Korean learning. That's why I'm doing this video, so we can, express ourselves and talk to each other about it. I'm going to be dividing these challenges into two categories. We have the internal challenges and the external challenges. The internal challenges are those challenges that you can easily control. Not easily, but like it's still something you can control in one way or the other. Okay, if I'm to give you an example, an internal challenge can be, let's say you're finding it hard learning vocabulary. So you can find a solution by maybe using apps, using flashcards, etc. So you're able to control that type of challenge. But the external challenges are those things that you cannot really influence yourself, or you cannot really control it by yourself. In today's video, I'm going to specifically focus on the external challenges. My environment is something that can influence me or pose as a challenge in one way or the other. So someone in another country might have a different experience, someone in a different environment might have a different experience. So if I didn't mention any point here, or if the challenges you're facing is different from the points that I mentioned, please, you can drop it down in the comment section below and we can discuss about it. I'll be happy to discuss about it. All right. The external challenges that Korean learners face are: number one, people think you're crazy or you're obsessed for learning the Korean language. Most people are like, wait, so you started watching K-dramas, then you started listening to K-pop, and now you're learning the Korean language. Girl, you're obsessed. You're obsessed with those Chinese guys, you're obsessed with the Korean guys. I don't even know what you see in them. You're not me, you don't have my interest, so why are you questioning my learning Korean? Like, it's really painful when people do that, And people also say things like, of all languages to learn, Korean? Oh my god. You didn't see French, you didn't see Spanish, you didn't see Italian, you didn't see Russian, you didn't see Chinese. Those ones are more valuable, those ones are easier to learn than Korean language. How are you going to start learning all those characters? It's not your business. It's not your business. Is it your head or your eye that I'm using to learn the language? It can be very frustrating. Like, people just keep putting their mouth in your business. And yeah, it can actually pose as a challenge for you. You might feel bad because people see you as this type of person and you might even get to the point where you are ashamed of telling people that you're learning Korean, and you start learning Korean secretly, like you're hiding to learn Korean. I met a girl who said that she stopped learning Korean language because of what people said to her when she was learning Korean language, like when she first started learning Korean language. So I know it's kind of tough and all, but if you're going through this challenge, just know you're not going through it alone. I'm also going through that challenge. I've heard a lot of people say different things about me learning Korean language. They call me cringy, they call me K-fan, they call me obsessed, they call me different names, and oh well, I want to learn Korean language and it's not their head, it's not their eyes. I'm not stealing from them to learn the Korean language. So number two is kind of related to number one, discrimination. Like, people discriminate when you tell them I'm learning Korean language. They first start discriminating when you say you watch K-dramas or you listen to K-pop. They start with some stereotypes that you are not mature. That's like the number one thing that will say that you're not yet mature for your age. You're watching K-dramas. You're listening to K-pop. People start judging you. Like, God, I've had my own fair share, but we still keep pushing. So even if people discriminate against you for learning Korean language, don't give up. Be yourself. If you have the interest for learning Korean language, fighting. So number 3, discouragement from parents. Oh Jesus! See guys, this one is the most discouraging one among all of them. Once you tell them you want to learn Korean, they are like, what did you say in that language? Why would you want to learn that language? Blah 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 blah. They won't encourage you at all. There's this girl that messaged me on Instagram, and she was telling me about her experience as a Korean learner, and I really felt sorry for her because her parents, wow, they are really dramatic about the fact that she likes Korea and she's learning the Korean language. So she was even banned from learning Korean language. Like, she was banned. So I really felt sorry for her. So right now she is hiding to learn Korean language. Her browsing history, she has to clean it off before like coming back home and stuff like that. So it's not easy, honestly. Like, I've got to hear some things from my own parents when it comes to this Korean learning. They feel like it's useless. So hearing it from your own parents, it feels like an arrow, a heartbreak. If you have parents that back you up with something you have an interest for, trust me, you are really going to move forward at a fast pace. You understand? Like, your parents are cheering for you. They enroll you in a Korean school. They encourage you to go to the Korean school. They buy you textbooks, whatever you need for your Korean learning. They get it for you. You understand? So it will be much easier for you to learn the Korean language. But in this case, African parents. So if you have parents that are actually supporting you in your Korean learning journey, you're really lucky. If you have parents that are not supporting you in your Korean learning journey, I want to say sorry on their behalf, and I also want to say don't give up learning Korean. You can find a way or two to, continue learning. Alright? Number 4, absence of Korean schools, or the Korean school is far from where you live. I have had many people tell me that they can't learn Korean language because there is no Korean school for them to attend, or the Korean school is far from, them. And in Nigeria, we have 36 states and a capital. So the Korean school is held in the capital, and the 36 states don't have any Korean school there, So people from all these 36 states have been complaining that they want to learn Korean language, but they can't learn Korean language because the Korean Cultural Center that offers Korean language class is in the capital of Nigeria. Someone like me, I have not been able to attend a Korean school at all because the Korean Cultural Center is in town. It's kind of far from where I live, and then the classes are normally held in the evening. Like, I can't attend the classes, and I really wish I could attend those classes, because attending classes, having a teacher is more motivating than self-studying. Trust me, self-studying. So if you're out there and you really want to learn Korean language, don't allow the fact that there is no Korean school around you to stop you from learning Korean language. If you can't self-study, you can actually find teachers online to help you with Korean language. You have your phone. This point will lead us to the next point, which is number 5, being broke. See, being broke is not a nice thing at all. and being broke can discourage you from learning Korean. Like, some people might be like, no, I don't have money, how am I going to pay? To be honest, I have been in that shoe, and I am still in that shoe right now. Like, when I wanted to start learning Korean language, I wanted a Korean teacher, but I was too broke, so I could not offer to pay a Korean teacher or to join a Korean class. So that was actually the main reason why I had to start self-studying Korean on my own. So it's painful, honestly. Even now, I wish I can have a Korean, teacher. But don't allow the fact that you're broke discourage you from learning Korean language. To be honest, Korean language is like one language that has so many free resources for learning. There are websites, there are apps, there are books, there are podcasts, so many. If you don't have money to pay somebody to teach you to learn Korean language, look for resources, free resources that can help you to learn Korean language. Stop giving excuses. Stop giving excuses, Number 6, no language exchange. See, language exchange is very hard to find online because most Koreans haven't been really cooperating with us in terms of language exchange, and they are very famous for ghosting people. They just ghost you. They just make a decision like, okay, I want to cut everybody off from my life, but this person doesn't really matter, and then the person just is gone. So once you're learning Korean language and you're not living in Korea, you might start struggling with learning how to speak and listen in Korean language. So once you don't have people to practice with, you might start getting discouraged and maybe even stop learning Korean. If you're passing through this challenge, please don't give up on learning Korean because of this. You can try practicing with people that are also learning Korean language. Like, let's help each other rather than waiting for native Koreans to help us. 7, self-studying Korean. I have been studying Korean language for some years now, and I have been taking breaks along the line. Like, I stopped learning Korean language and then I'll come back again, then start learning again, stuff like that. If I was in a Korean school, I can't try that. Yeah. My teacher would, and if I pay for it, I know that I have to pass my exams. So I will have motivation one way or the other, and I will have to continue, studying every day because I'm in a Korean school. But self-studying Korean, since you're the boss, you can tell yourself you can sleep all day, you can tell yourself you can't study in Korean today, blah 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 blah. And then you would make mistakes, silly mistakes, like you don't have a curriculum for studying. In a school, there's a curriculum that you follow step by step in order for you to learn how to speak Korean. But you teaching yourself Korean, you might learn Hangul, the next thing you're learning numbers, then you skip batching and then start learning words, start learning grammar, and start moving on. From this grammar you just skip to that grammar, and then from that grammar you just skip, you just keep on skipping. I'm my own teacher, I'm my own student, I'm broke, I cannot offer a teacher, so I have to continue like cheering for myself. So I'm not going to give up learning Korean language no matter what happens. Alright, so that rounds up all the challenges that I have noted down. So if you have any challenge that you are facing while you're learning Korean right now, please drop it down in the comment section so we can discuss about it. Subscribe. You guys should not forget to like this video to tell me that you enjoyed this video and you want to see more. Thank you guys for watching my video. 안녕히 계세요.